hopefully going to be that, one-stop podcast where they know they're going to come on and hear real information, not just the fluffy surface chit-chat. It's actual real life scenarios and real life feelings and stories and experiences and solutions as well. Just a warning for anyone listening. This edition of our podcast discusses drug use. If these issues are triggers for you in any way, we strongly suggest you skip this episode.
And welcome back to the Lessons Podcast. We must be approaching around 10 episodes now.
Yeah, at least, I think.
Wow, it's been such an enjoyable road. Thanks for tuning in today. Today we have a really special friend of mine. I was just mentioning how I was scrolling through my feed and he popped up and I instantly thought of all his crazy stories he's told me in the past, and I can't wait to share it with you. But firstly, how are you today, wifey?
I am good. We've got a pretty crazy week ahead. We're actually moving house this week. We're off to New York next week. It's just very hectic. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed. So I was really looking forward to today to just sit down, have some awesome conversations with some awesome human beings. So yeah, I'm feeling good in this chair right now.
Beautiful. Well, let's get started. Introducing Geoff. Woo!
Hi, mate. Hello, Ashy. How are you guys? You well?
We are good. How are you today?
I'm really well, thanks. Any better, I'd be twins. Life's good.
Thank you for coming on, and I guess we've spoken a lot in depth in the past about lots of things, and you've got a long history, especially in the health and fitness industry, which
interesting stories,
and you've probably been in the industry for what? Don't quote me on this, but 20 years,
mate. 75 years, mate.
75.
Wow.
Oh, I was a baby.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've been at it for a while, guys. It was funny because my mum and dad moved house. Well, not my mum, but my stepmum and my dad moved house last week. So they dug out all these old pictures in the move, and there was literally Vision Personal Training Studio 1, the building of it.
Yep.
Me with hair and like the worst sideburns and just horrendous. And but just the building of Studio 1 and all these different. Going through it last night, I thought, wow, and the office in Andrew Simmons's parents' house before we even had a studio, and like, yeah, mate, that was 1999. So some of the listeners probably weren't even born, but rock and roll.
So that was your first business that you got into in the health and fitness industry, was it? The Vision?
Yeah, well, mate, training? Yeah, that was the first significant. I had my own little PT thing and whatnot, but that was the first sizable business that we scaled and away we went. But yeah, back then, like all of us, we don't really know what we're doing. We just do our best. We're passionate and right place, right time, bit of luck and so forth. And that went quite well. So yeah, but it was just interesting looking back at the old pictures and trip down memory lane. And, it's great as you get a bit older. I'm a bit older than you guys, 42 now. And the viewers are probably like, shit, he looks about 55. I've had a tough road.
I actually turned 40 this year too, so I'm not too far behind you, mate.
How old are you, Steve?
Turning 40 in 2 months.
Oh, here he is. Ash, you're going to have to trade him in for a younger model.
I know. I've been thinking that lately. Don't you worry. No. But before we dive deep, because a lot of our listeners, like you said, they won't know who you are. So obviously you've been in the health and fitness space for a very long time. But who is Geoff? Tell us a little bit about yourself, a bit of background.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, really quick cliff notes. Fitness industry, sports science degree, started Vision, had a good run, got out of that mid-2005, started a weight loss company called Body Trim, which was quite a success there on morning television before social media. I was the animated / annoying bloke on Sunrise and all those shows each morning.
Can you give us the voice, mate? Can you give us the voice? The voice, though.
5 quick kilos.
Or it was, what could be better than a free trial TV offer? This, lose 5 kilos in 7 days or it's free.
That's the one.
So it was those ones.
Yep.
And that was funny because someone wanted me to do a little bit of a piss take the other day. And we found these long story, but someone found a box of these back in the day. They sent them the old Body Trim kit that they got on the old TV. And that, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got hair, which is awesome. There I am. Look at me.
It's a long time ago, isn't it?
Good-looking rooster. Hey?
And a whole heap of makeup and probably a bit of Botox back then as well when I was doing my best. But that was Body Trim. We had a good run. But look, in terms of who is Geoff, well, It's a great question to answer now, because if you had have asked me years ago...
Oh my God, your dog is humping in the background. It's
Humping the
its
pillow.
bed.
William, come here.
Oh my gosh, for all our listeners who are not watching, we can see Geoff, and in the background, his little Pomeranian is humping his bed, and we can't say anything.
He gets excited. Look, that's it. Yeah, you didn't know that was in
that
shot.
Was awesome. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, welcome to my world. And there's another one out on the balcony because he gets too excited. But yep, so that happens a bit. There you go. There's something you weren't expecting, straight out of the blocks. But yeah, in terms of who I am, I'm probably only in a position to answer that now, because back in the day, mate, to be honest, I was a bloke looking for approval. I was a bloke looking to be seen. I was a bloke that really, and it all stems out of ego, which in my opinion is fear. I never felt like I was enough or a success. I never felt that I'd achieved, and I wanted to prove myself to the world. And the best thing that ever happened to me after body trim and a bunch of stuff, I made a lot of poor choices. I made a lot of choices in business and life out of ego and really entitlement, because I had success at a young age. And ironically, if you have success at a young age before you've had struggle, I think long term, it's a trap, because the struggle, and if there's one quote today, the struggle is the gift. The struggle is the gift.
I love that.
Most people, if they go really well young, they haven't had the struggle. And with that comes ego and entitlement. And that's exactly what I was. And I look back at who I was, and I'm just blessed for the failures and the hardships. And really that, and it's not like struggle for the listeners, like I'm talking 2 years. You don't fix yourself in 2 minutes. You don't go to a seminar and, come out transformed. It'd be great if you did, but that's not really how it works. You've got to do the deep
journey, isn't
work.
it?
And that included AA. I was an alcoholic, and the wheels fell off in a massive way. And for a long time, it was everyone else's fault except mine. And, here's what I know about success and failure. I'm pretty sure I was there for all of it. Pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure we all are. But what we normally do is we take credit for the wins, and then we blame the other bloke when it goes bad. It's not my fault. Now, reality, you probably didn't contribute as much as you think you did to the win, and you probably messed it up more than you realize. That's the reality. These are the absolute blessings in my life, because I say the key to personal transformation and growth is awareness and then ownership, because you can't change what you can't see. So a lot of people, they're just not aware. They can't see the part that they played. Now, if you are living a chaotic life, here's the newsflash: you're the chaos, because if you're the calm or the chaos. Now, if everything around you is a mess, look in the mirror. That's you. It's energy. It's energy. We attract what we are, not what we want. And for a long time in my life, I was the nucleus of the chaos, and I would just, it would just be a spin. It'd be overwhelmed the whole time. And not only that, like whatever I did was never enough. I call it the disease of more. So with Vision as an example, we started it. We went from 1 trainer to 30 trainers, 1,000 sessions a week. It blew up. Right place, bit of luck. I was Australian Personal Trainer of the Year. That was like, who cares? Next, rubbish, next. Then Vision wasn't big enough and fast enough, so I got out of that and did body trim, and I had nothing was enough. I never had peace. I was never happy. And that's when you're numb with food, alcohol, drugs. Like a lot of people are overweight. It's not the latest diet. It's medicating with food. Now,
yes.
I medicated with alcohol. A lot of people use food, drugs, gambling, smoking, you name it. It's an external feel-good medicating an internal pain. And so I had to go boom. And what does boom look like? Well, bankrupt, gone, did a medical business, which was poorly executed. Channel 9 News did a story. Just an absolute get this one in you. And, mate, blessed that they did. Blessed, like you don't know, fair enough. There is no, people have just got to stop hiding from the truth. Like you've got to take ownership when you don't do things the right way, from the right place, for the right reasons, with high integrity. And then all of that ended up with me in AA at the back end of where was I? Let's go. 16.
Wow.
And well, it wasn't even AA. That's like sophisticated. It was NA, Narcotics Anonymous. So that's even like, well, I shouldn't say the lower level, but sorry, but it's you know, you got a lot of, you got everything in there. You got heroin addicts, ice addicts, you got everything. And there's me bowling down William Street to Stanley Street, Narcotics Anonymous at 7 a.m. Now, let me give you the red hot tip. If I had a vision board at 30, that was not on it. Lose all your dough and be in friggin' NA at 7 a.m. Wasn't exactly high on life. And to be honest,
would you say that was the lowest point of your
Oh, mate, I wouldn't be here today without my little dogs. There's no way. That they kept me going. Mm-hmm. Like I'd be gone for sure. Like I was as dark. And I'll tell you why you get so dark. Ego. Because what happens is your identity becomes what you've done. It's your stuff. It's all your bullshit achievements, right? So that's what fuels you in ego. So then that's all gone. And then you're there, an absolute shell, and you'd swan around in your Maserati with your Rolex watches and all your bullshit, which means nothing. And then that's all gone. And then you're like, shit. Okay, so everything that I thought was important's gone, identity gone. By the way, that's not your identity, and we'll get to that later, as you guys both know. But like from there, that was the foundation to start to do the work. But here's the problem. Most people don't see it as a foundation. They go into victim mode. And a lot of people live there for the rest of their life. And I lived there for about a year. And, you know, happiness is a funny thing because it creeps up on you. And then over time, you're like, oh, I'm pretty happy. I'm actually happy. And hang on, I'm happy. And then fast forward 3 years, like, I never had joy in my life. I never had peace of mind. I never had, you know, even a freedom from myself, like my thoughts and my reactions. And it was just dark. And that drove me to achieve more. And, you know, these days I say define yourself by your daily actions and your integrity, not your past achievements. Like I've got a thing called a daily action scorecard. I mentor a lot of real estate agents and I coach a lot of executives, and it's all about daily action and integrity, not achievements. Now, ironically, the byproduct of this, purely by default, is more achievement. And you achieve more and you get all that stuff, but you don't care. It's not you. So to the untrained eye, it's like, wow, but you're not living in that space. You're just where you are. So I went on a real journey in the NA stuff. I'd walk into those meetings and you're just in the horrors. And you'd sit in there and everyone would share and you do your thing and you come out a bit better because you get off yourself. You know, you get off yourself. And I'd set, mate, I was 40 odd and I'm setting up the chairs and running meetings in AA and NA. Like doesn't get much. Well, I'm sure it does, but it wasn't, it's pretty full on. And anyway, kept doing that. And I remember one bloke, he'd been clean and sober for about 5 years, really successful bloke. And he said to me, he goes, mate, you'll be good. He goes, you just got to give it a bit of time. This was early on. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about a month or two. And he's like, mate, give it a couple of years and you'll be good. And I'm like, holy shit balls, couple of years. But this is the thing, like you can't do it the wrong way for 20 years and then click your fingers and then, no, you've got to do the work. The struggle is the gift. Like everyone goes to the gym, they lift heavy weights and their muscles grow. How do you change this?
Yeah.
It's in that, you know, you're walking through the mud and it is lonely and it's meant to be because that's when you grow. And so that was a real incubator for me. And then what I did was I went, all right, what can I do well? Just me that I enjoy. Get rid of the noise. Stop trying to, you know, get back on there and up there. And no. So I set up a little Facebook group and I started running little weight loss things and it gave me purpose. So step one was getting purpose again and just coaching people. And we had 100 people and it grew a little bit. And, you know, away it's gone. And through that, though, I'd really developed a love for mindset, because everything is mindset and how you view the world. And the late, great Wayne Dyer used to say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And, you know, it's such a powerful thing. I say change the lens. And I did a post the other day. I was walking the back streets with the doggies, and, you know, it's the same street that I'd walk each morning, and I'm like, I just want to die. I just want to die. I just want to die. Like, I just don't want to wake up. I want to die. And now, you know, I see the birds and the trees and the flowers and the, you know, and it's the same bloody street. Like, everyone thinks it's not the street. It's not the house. It's you. It's what's going on inside. And your external world is an absolute mirror reflection of what's going on inside you. And these days, I was doing a keynote speaking gig up at Hamilton Island for Century 21, and I met a guy up there. Well, he's the chairman, Charles Tarby, and incredible man. I'd love to talk about him in a second, about leadership, because he's so good. But we flew back together, and he said, we sat next to each other, and he's like, so what's next for Jeffro? What's next? I said, mate, I don't know. I'm just happy doing what I do for now. And if it stops tomorrow, that's okay. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I don't have an agenda. Anyway, I'm paraphrasing, but we talked a lot. It was amazing. And we catch up quite a bit now. And he said the other day, he goes, mate, I thought a lot about what you said the other day on the plane. And really, everybody's got such a hard and fast deadline agenda where they have to be, and their deadline plans and blah, blah, blah. And they're just obsessed with an outcome. And you've got to detach from outcome. So I coach goal, deadline, process, detach. What most people do, goal, deadline, process, obsess. And that causes overwhelm and a lot of fear. And I have to get this. You don't have to get it
I definitely
done.
would say I suffer from that a lot. I'm very deadline and purpose driven. Well, not so much more you know, goal orientated, and it does cause that anxiety. There's constant setting yourself up for failure.
And what's next? You don't really sit in the present moment and be grateful, I suppose.
I would say I'm very aware of it these days, and I'm really trying to enjoy the journey more than the destination. I think that's the key to it, like you were mentioning before. But what was the what was alcohol for you? Like when deep in those days when you were turning to it, were you a functioning alcoholic, or were you not?
High functioning, mate. Yeah. It was, high functioning. It was, it was heaps of alcohol, heaps of cocaine, Xanax to sleep. And away you go again.
How many years was that for?
5 years.
Yep.
Yeah, 5 years. Because and obviously, you know, when you're making a lot of money and you got 100 plus staff, then you can have a bottle of whiskey in your office, and you know your PA everyone thinks it's funny because you're making it rain. There's heaps of dough and it's good times, but you're actually an alcoholic. But so then you have a couple of drinks in the arvo at work or more, but then you go to the night. You know, just because you're drinking wine at Rockpool every night, it's still wine. So there was a lot of that, you know, at the top end of town, and that just became what you did. And then I guess for me it was a numbing agent because I just wasn't aligned. I wasn't aligned with what I knew I wanted to be doing and who I was as a person deep down. And I'd made choices in business. I got into some things that with some very smart people, but our values were not aligned, and you just can't do that. You've got to be aligned. It's got to be more. It cannot be transaction based. It cannot. Like, we chase money, and the thing is, with that never ever ends well. And I like to teach people process, not outcome. And I've got ratios around this, like 90% process, 10% outcome. And I say that, well, a good one, in your car, a lot of people have got a GPS. You put the coordinates in the GPS when you're going somewhere new, that's the goal. And it says 45 minutes, that's the deadline. Cool. But you don't stare at the GPS the whole way. If you do, you're going to crash the car. And that's what people do with goal setting. They set the goal and they obsess about the goal. And it's just overwhelm, anxiety, fear. It's all of that stuff. I set it. It's over there. and then I come back to the process. And I do this in golf. I do this. I ride horses every day and show jumping and all that stuff. And the jump in horse riding, it's just a byproduct of the process, right? So, but if people are panicking about a jump, the horse is going to hit the brakes. It's the same with golf. If you're going good and you get to the 15th hole and you start adding them up in your head, you're going to put it in the pond, you're going to put it in the trees, because you're in outcome. Like, I love golf more than ever now because I love the process and actually just being in that moment, hitting that particular shot. That's golf. It's not a score. Life's not a bloody scorecard. Like, I want to do this thing in Pitt Street Mall with a sign, and it's going to have like your car, your bank balance, your investment properties, and hold it up. And I'm going to go, see, no one cares. No one knows, and no one gives a rat's ass.
Yeah.
This is the thing. We think, because I coach a lot of affluent people, like, if they're actually struggling a bit because they don't have any buffer in their finances, I go, mate, why don't you sell an investment property, get a bit of buffer so you won't be in a fear state, and then then we can be good. Oh, I can't go backwards. Like, that's not, I'll tell you what backwards is, not doing that. Like, it's not Monopoly. We're not playing a board game with little hotels. No one cares, A, and B, no one knows. Now, my last car cost 300 grand. This car cost 3. Hyundai Getz. It's a weapon, mate. I bang up the left-hand lane. It's a little rip snorter. 3 grand, including GST. It's a gun, and it gets me because I lost all my dough, mate. You start again. And now I feel infinitely more successful in that car than I ever did in the BMWs and all the bullshit cars that I had, because they were propping up my sense of lack and not enough and not being good enough. And now I just love what I do. I love my life. And I reckon the key, when you no longer have to try and, prove yourself to anyone else or yourself, you've arrived. You're not proving yourself to, no. And a lot of that, like, there's things like A Course in Miracles, all of the Eckhart Tolle stuff. Like, this is where the rubber meets the road. Like, all of the Buddhism principles, like, nothing new. Anyone who comes out with a new radical thing, they're telling fibs. Like, Buddha wrote about this stuff thousands of years ago, and I'm pretty sure he was not under the tree listening to Tony Robbins.
No.
I don't think he was. I don't think he had the iPod in Buddha listening to Tony. I'm pretty sure Buddha was present, calm, still.
Yeah.
So the answers that we want are in us. They're not in bloody books and 20 grand courses. They are inside each and every one of us. If we can learn to be present, calm, still, grateful.
And not numb it.
And not numb it. And the reality is, I've got a roof over my head, food on the table, money in the bank. It's perfect. The only way to build a better life is for people to realize that it's actually perfect now. Now, it's actually perfect. Most people can't realize that it's perfect now. They have they're always
chasing
this, dramas and this and that and this. Like, no, it's perfect. Like, it's perfect. What else do we need? I've got a glass of water. I'm talking to you. He stopped humping the bed. He's asleep. The other one's out there. Like, it's perfect. It's perfect. And the other thing that we do, I spend most afternoons doing volunteer work down at the stables. I exercise the horses. I wash and rug the horses. Mate, that would have been about 20 rungs beneath me back in the day. I would have been far too important for that. Like, that's the magic. That's the gold. Like, there's 20 horses and they're like my family. Like, it's just beautiful. And that's life, but we miss it. We miss it. We were more. I haven't got time for that. More. Like, more what? More what? Now, to back this up, I did a podcast the other day with a guy, his name's Matt Steinway. Now, I coach Matt. He's the #1 real estate agent in Australia, three years in a row. So he's not battling. He's like the rock star. #1 agent, 3 years in a row. And we did a podcast on this, and we were talking about winning and how it's not the goal. It's not the goal. It's a byproduct, winning. And he's like, I don't care. I couldn't care. It just happens by default. And anyway, 20 minutes later, someone sends me a video. Matthew McConaughey doing a speech on this. I put it on my Facebook page the other day. It was echoing every single word that we talked about. It gave me goosebumps because he talks about how in his career early on, he did movies to be respected and recognized by his peers. He didn't make the movie for the love of the movie. He did it for the recognition and respect, and he didn't get the other stuff. Then whatever happened, he shifted and he started to love the process. Each day turning up and making the movie. Jump forward a bit, Dallas Buyers Club, Interstellar, Best Actor Award, all of these things. And he's one of the best actors, if not the best actor in the world, when he stopped caring about the outcome, the recognition, and all the bullshit that we think's important.
It sounds like you live in quite a place of gratitude.
Oh, Ashy, like I can't even tell you, like, and because it was so dark, like,
I can feel it.
it's just a beautiful place to live. But the hard thing is if people haven't, been broken, it's hard to get to that place.
It is.
Like, Ernest Hemingway said, sooner or later life breaks all of us, but some of us are stronger in the broken places. Like, I think when you break, that's when the light can come in.
I agree.
And that was the big thing for me. I am so very, very lucky, blessed, fortunate that it broke me. My way of life broke me. Like, I didn't take the little hints and the taps on the shoulder. I just kept going until it was just bang, get that in you. So dark. And then the little doggies, like, just love. And they were rescued dogs, so they were really badly treated. So we rescued them, my partner at the time and we rescued them. And luckily she's a wonderful human being and we're great friends. So she let me keep them because she saw how connected I was. And mate, I get emotional talking about it now because, it was.
Animals are incredible, aren't they? They really are.
Yeah, and just the healing and all of us healing. And these little dogs, like, people see them now and, you got no idea what they were like when we got them. And we got them from a place called Maggies Rescue, and the lady who owns Maggies Rescue, complete universe moment. She was in a cafe one day and she's like, "Oh, your dogs are amazing. They don't even need a lead. They follow you everywhere. You must have raised them since they were puppies." And I said, No, we got them from Maggies Rescue. And she's like, "No, you didn't." And I'm like, "Who's this woman? I said, "Yeah, we did." And she goes, "You couldn't have." And I said, "Well, we did." And she goes, "I own Maggies Rescue." And I'm like, "Your name's not Maggie." And she said, "Well, the first dog that we rescued was called Maggie." Anyway, so she started crying. I started crying because she couldn't even recognize the change in these animals. Wow. She could not believe they were the same. So, like, consistent love and, like, animals heal, humans heal. But I wouldn't, without all of that, like the dogs and the horses in my life and all of these beautiful things, I'd have none of that. I'd still be chasing just the bullshit.
I don't know if you remember our conversation at dinner years ago, Geoff.
Years
ago, I were talking about your love life and your relationships. And one of the things I picked up on you was that you really are a lover and you had so much love to give. But how has the relationship front gone since then?
Mate, look, what I've realised, buddy, is and this is again awareness. I'm pretty much, ironically, because I was such an extrovert, but I've got an extroverted personality, but I'm really an introvert.
I'm pretty similar. Can be.
Look at that, let's go.
Really?
You don't think I can be extroverted and introverted?
You can.
Yeah,
you can be both.
I'm definitely not as extroverted as you, mate. That's for sure. No, but carry on. Keep going, please.
So what I've realised is that I love people, but I'm not really built for I don't really crave that companionship of one person. Mm-hmm. And I did a podcast on this with someone the other week, and Romantically Challenged, and and I talked about the concept of it all, and you've just got to know who you are. And I love being by myself, and I love my animals, and I just enjoy that. And one person together forever, it's just not me, and I'm blissfully happy on my path doing me, and it just works really well. And I think the problem is that we think we have to conform to a norm. The problem is the norm's broken.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, I have to do this because everyone does, except if you did a survey, 98% of people are not that happy. So you've got to work out what makes you happy. You've got to do life your way. Now, if that is meeting a person, getting married, having kids, beautiful, but don't do it because everyone says you have to. You've got to do what's in your heart. You've got to do what brings you to life. And what brings me to life is I give myself to people each day, and I really really try and be of service. But I love nothing more than coming home, horses and dogs, and just being by myself. And people are like, don't you get lonely? And I'm like, not at all. Like, not at all. I love my own time. I just really enjoy it. And I love something with animals. I don't really know what, but I could be around, horses, anything like all the time. And my big dream now, I used to dream about the car with the horse on it. Now I just want the horse and couldn't care what pulls the horse float, right? So my dream now is to, be successful again, to be able to have an animal rescue farm. Might be up at Currumbin, I might be your neighbours, who knows? But that's the dream. 50 acres, heaps of horses and goats and you name it. I'm going to get them and save them, and I'd like to do something like that and have a place where people could come and heal as well and do a bit of that. Like, that's what I love. And sure, I meet people and you have relationships, but there's also this concept that you've got to meet a person and you've got to be with them forever. Like all of my exes, I'm friends with. There's no train wrecks. Like you can have relationships for a week, a month, 10 years. I think what's sad is when people are together for a very long time, then they end up hating each other and they never speak to each other again. That's sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
Like that. We've got to come from a place of love, not fear. Love, not fear. Like, no. And so if a relationship ends, like, another one can begin, whether it's with yourself or someone else. But people go through life and they're just, all my exes are idiots. Well, I'm pretty sure they're not. There's one common denominator, and that's you. They're not all idiots. Like that's just not. It doesn't take a genius to join those dots there. But people can't see it now. Having those great friendships, whether it's an intimate relationship or not, you don't want to be just going through life with just absolute carnage behind you. You want relationships, and there's chapters in your life, and some might go forever and some might go for a day, a week, a month, a year, but they're great chapters in your life and they help you to grow. But a lot of people, and tragically, because a lot of women especially, they feel that I work with and coach, and they feel that, they're not whole until they've got a partner. And, Jerry Maguire, fair dinkum, they should flush that down the toilet, that movie, You Complete Me. The worst thing ever said. No one completes anyone. You complete you. And problem is, two people, two halves, they think, right, I've met this person, now we're whole. Wrong. Two halves don't make a whole. It creates codependency, and that ain't going to last. And that, unfortunately, because people feel less than and not enough, and I just need to meet the right girl or guy, that ain't how it works. You got to love yourself and be grateful for the life that you've got, and really feel it, not just say it. And that takes time. You can't read a book and go, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. It's not in a bloody book. It's not in a seminar series. You got to do the work. You got to, and that generally takes pain.
I think, like you said before, when you go through really big challenges, that's when you get the biggest lessons. Because I'm the same. Any really hardship things that I went through in my childhood, I am genuinely so grateful for, because it really does help shape who you are, make you stronger, make you appreciate the small things and the important things in life. Whereas if you don't go through those challenges, where do you really grow? Where do you learn those valuable lessons?
Something with you, which I've always admired, you've always, and I don't know you that well, but you've always seemed to be very humble and had your feet on the ground. And, without stereotyping, there's a lot of fitness influencers that maybe don't have their feet on the ground. And I've always noticed that about you guys, and Ashy, obviously, with your profile, very much so. And I think without the struggle and the pain, it's hard to get to that place. And but what a lot of people do, the childhood, the parents,
Yeah.
Oh, the victim, victim,
Blame.
victim, victim. And no, the struggle is the gift. And you can't have empathy and compassion for people if you haven't hurt, if you
Mm.
haven't had the hard times. Like I look at people from, there's just zero judgment. And because I've been there, and it was really interesting that the gentleman I mentioned before, Charles Tarby, because you'll love this story. I rocked up to Hamilton Island to do the thing, and this guy, there was a bloke. I didn't know what he looked like. There was a bloke in the mixing booth up the back. Well, I thought it was the sound guy. Anyway, I bowl in, about to jump on, and this person comes over. Oh, Geoff Jowett, mate, geez, it's a pleasure. Mate, I've watched you for years. I've watched your career. It's just great. I loved what you did on the TV, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, thank you. Thanks so much. That's really nice. Great to be here. Anyway, I go up and do my talk. And then the CEO gets up and he said, all right, well, look, that was great. We'll just have a couple of announcements from our chairman. It was him, the bloke who no, mate, polo shirt, joggers, no watch, none of the rubbish, just a real down-to-earth bloke. Now, Century 21, they're one of the biggest real estate companies in the world, and he's the chairman. These people, they don't come into your life, and you don't build these friendships if you're a wanker.
Mm.
They will, oh my Lord. And throughout this conference on Hamilton, I'm looking at all these franchisees and I'm like, look how humble they all are. And they're like, oh, Charles, no, you got to be humble here. Charles will boot you. Like he doesn't tolerate that. He doesn't tolerate that. What about this? We get on the plane. The whole plane is his people, the whole plane from Hamilton Island. He's up the back. And I'm like, and I got on last. I was doing work. I jumped on. I'm sitting next to him. He's got a seat for me. And I just thought, talk about leadership. What about this bloke? And it was incredible, the talk. It's such an amazing human being. And anyway, I said, mate, I've got to hand it to you. I said, back in the day, mate, I'd be up the front and, and all the staff would be at the back. And he's like, yeah, mate, you can't sit up the front with your staff up the back, mate. You can't, that's not how you do it. And that doesn't align with me. And I said, oh, this is I cannot agree more. Anyway, not only that, he goes, oh, all the people in business, they all work for me. They're all my staff. I'm like, what about this bloke? He goes, yeah, that bloke runs my restaurant. That bloke runs my golf course. That bloke does it. They're up in business. He's in row 20. What a legend.
Yeah.
And he is just in there with his team, one of them, just happens to be the chairman. And the way that people speak about him, because most people in those big positions, when they get a bit pissed, the staff are like, oh, well, really? He's a bit of, no, then the truth comes out and he's a punish. Charles, amazing. We love him. We just want him to work less. He still works a bit much. We want him to, I've never seen anything like it. I've been around a lot of successful people. I've never seen anything like this. And there's just a humility. And that's the sort of people you want to be around. Like, nobody cares how much dough's in your bank. Nobody cares about all this stuff. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with my 2 little dogs. Never been this happy, never thought I'd be this happy. And if I made $20 million tomorrow, I'd still live in this and I'd still drive the Hyundai Getz. I just don't need anything else. I don't, like, my golf clubs cost more than my car. That's a win, right? Winning.
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't need and when you get to a place where you don't have to impress people and you don't care about what they think, the peace and the freedom that washes over you. Like, I always had anxiety. Like, I went to doctors about it and everything. I don't have anxiety anymore.
Yeah. Yes, that's such a calming, peaceful place in your life. And God, you have a lot of stories and so many incredible lessons. Like, I feel like I could just listen to you for hours. Overall, and we ask this to every podcast guest because our whole podcast is called Lessons. We love our listeners to go away, walk away from each episode with one main lesson. What would yours be in the journey of being Geoff?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. It really is. Okay, I would say service, not status. Service, how can I serve, not what can I get?
Powerful.
because we are so consumed with what I want to get and what I need, and I need that deal, and I need, and well, you don't need it. You don't. And golf course, just quickly regarding that, I'm fortunate enough to be a member of a good golf course, a private golf course, and bloke goes into the pro shop the other day. Beautiful day. Glamour golf course, beautiful day. This bloke bowls in. Oh, mate, it's bloody ridiculous out there. And I'm over in the corner. 4.5 hours for a round of golf. It's a joke. Anyway, he rattles on, and I go, and I the golf pros are mates of mine, and I'm like, guys, just quickly, if you Google first world problem, that's at the top. So really, glamour golf course, beautiful day, but you're filthy because it took 4.5 hours to play that beautiful golf course. By the way, 50 people probably just died from brain cancer like in the last couple of minutes. People have got no legs. They're in a wheelchair. They've got all these things, but you're filthy because it took your foot. Wow.
Yeah, perspective.
But that is and you know what? That's a lot of people. And unfortunately, the more they get, the more they become. I walk the golf course, and people must think I'm on drugs. Like I, little birds and all these. I'm like, look at that bird. How good's that? Like this is life. This is what it's about. It's an experience. We're here to learn. We're not here to accumulate and friggin' win and beat everyone. Yeah. Like that is you're gonna end up absolutely busted.
It kills your soul, doesn't it? In the end,
it kills your soul. It absolutely rips your soul out. I want every single person to win. I don't care about competing anymore. Rubbish. That was like. And yeah, that's another lesson. I know there's only one, but like stop competing and comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy. Like, grass is greener. No, it's greener where you water it.
Yeah, 100%.
So instead of looking over the fence at your mate's grass, going, shit, it's green. How green is it? Well, your grass is dying because you haven't watered it because you're looking at his.
Yeah, exactly.
Water your bloody grass.
Choose where to put your focus.
Yeah.
Love that. That's incredible. Holy moly. I feel like I could listen to you for hours. So can I hire you as my coach after this?
Of course. Be an honour. Yeah. Lovely to see you both.
Oh, so good to have you on.
On that, I'd love to share. If our listeners wanted to get in touch with you or see some of your, I know you share a lot on social media.
Yeah,
so,
where is your content?
Where's the best place for people to come and
well, mate, if they're interested in, a little bit of coaching or whatnot, email me, Geoff@geoffjowett.com. Or they can go to thejowettmethod.com, which is like I've got an online club, and I do this at 6 a.m. each day, 6 a.m., 6:15 a.m. I do a live session like this, and because I think we've got to get people in the right mental state each morning, because people get out of bed and they're just, victim.
State is so important, isn't it?
Life shit, this is hard. No, life's awesome and this is great. And that's not fluff. It's bloody truth. Yeah. It's like
truth bomb.
We've got to just stop the bullshit. Like I don't know what any competitor, I don't follow. I don't care. I do my thing, my way, my time. Great. Some people follow, some don't. Great. Ride the horses, walk the dogs, hit golf balls, repeat. Like really bloody simple.
Love it.
Beautiful.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for your time today. That was
thanks for having me.
Absolutely amazing.
Awesome catching up. And if I'm ever in Sydney, I'd love to have a game of golf with you.
Come and have a hit, mate. I'd love to get you out to Bonnie Doon.
Definitely. That sounds amazing. And I don't mind taking 4.5 hours either. So
great. You're building.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And anyone else who loved this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and go over to our Lessons Podcast Instagram and comment below on the latest post and tell Geoff how much you loved hearing him talk.
Yeah, we would love to hear your feedback, and we will link all of Geoff's details also in the box below, so you guys can check him out and connect with him, because anyone that is lucky enough not only to listen to you but to meet you and be in contact with you and learn from you and all your experiences and wisdom is really lucky, really lucky.
We love you, mate.
Thanks, guys.
And
thank you.
Have an awesome day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Lessons Podcast. And remember, we'd love to hear from you. So please jump on over to our Lessons Podcast Insta page to tell us what you think. Don't forget to join us on the Lessons Podcast next week for another inspiring guest and fantastic life lesson. If you think you've got a lesson to share, we'd love to hear from you. Hit the link in the description box to get in touch. Bye!